Welcome to the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show. Conversations with elite business leaders from around the world. And now, here is your host, T. Allen Haynes.
Welcome back to the show. We've got a great guest for you today. We've got Tommy Breedlove. And Tommy's mission in life is to empower individuals and business leaders to rediscover their brilliance, achieve meaning, balance, and true happiness in life without compromising their financial success. His work and legacy are to provide humans with the tools and skills to become the person they've always dreamed of being. Tommy achieved 20 years of business notoriety and financial success as a large firm financial consultant. However, he was unfulfilled. He had lost balance and filled with unhealthy amounts of stress because he felt trapped in a prestigious career. Tommy felt forced to make decisions out of fear and scarcity instead of abundance. He felt like he did not have a choice. His experiences led him to choose goodness, a movement encouraging individuals and business organizations to search for unmet human needs that create transformational impact on themselves, their business, and society at large. Both Tommy and Choose Goodness provide both the rational and emotional perspectives to the strategic and financial decision-making process. Welcome to the show, Tommy.
Hey, T. Allen, great to be here. It's a beautiful day in Jackson Lake, Georgia, and I'm very honored and humbled that you're having me.
Oh, well, we're super excited to have you as well. I know you're going to drop some good nuggets for our audience today. So let's just get right into it. Tell us about your business and the type of clients that you're helping.
So my clients are ambitious, driven, financially successful men and women who are really asking the questions of how do I achieve meaning and significance in life, really rediscover my zone of brilliance without compromising my financial success or ambition. And it's one of those questions that I had to ask myself multiple times in my career. Basically, what is my purpose? Why am I here? So I help them rediscover meaning and significance in life. And again, it's important for my clients to do this without compromising their values, without compromising their success, and eventually without compromising anything related to finances.
Awesome. One day you just woke up and decided you wanted to be in finances, but how did you get into this field and how did you get started?
No, T. Allen, if you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be a featured keynote speaker or premier business and life coach, I would have laughed you off of it. I would have been like, no chance, no way. What is all that woo-woo nonsense? So let me take you back a little bit. I spent 22 years in financial consulting, large financial consulting, public accounting, and mergers and acquisitions firms. I was 36 years old. I was the principal and international practice leader of a large Southeastern-based firm here in Atlanta, and looked up one day and thought I had it all. I had the title, I had the prestige, I had the fancy suit, the nice car, the cufflinks, the big office. But when I looked in the mirror, I didn't like what I see. My marriage was crumbling. Friends were running out of my life. I wasn't being who I was. I was compromising my values and integrity for the pursuit of financial success and money. I was literally that guy who was living the Wolf of Wall Street / Mad Men lifestyle. If there was a list of 100 things not to do as a human, I had checked off 90 of them. And it literally almost cost, no kidding. I just have to own it. And it literally almost cost me everything. And so at 36 years old, I decided to transform my life emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and just rediscover who I was. And the most amazing things happened, T. Allen, is my marriage became the strongest it's ever been. My networks, friendships grew to, I can't even describe the people that come into my life these days. But at the firm, I went from, so if we like to know the results of doing the right things and really investing in ourselves from an emotional, mental, and spiritual standpoint, not just a business standpoint, but really doing the hard work and investing in ourselves. From a career standpoint, I went from principal to senior partner to elected to the board of directors and owner of the firm at 39 years old. And my financial success just went off the charts. But I knew within the first 5 minutes of my first board meeting, because so many other men and women, ambitious, ambitious people started coming to me and saying, I want what you've got. I want fulfillment and meaning in life. I want to be successful, and I want to be the best person I can be. But I really just don't know where to start, and I'm lacking purpose and meaning in life. So this coaching thing fell into my lap. I literally walked away at the top of my my career and financial game. I'd made it to the mountaintop, and 5 minutes into that journey, I was like, I got to go. So I left about a year later, and because so many people kept reaching out to me and saying, I need help. I'm compromising this. And it starts small, right? It starts with small compromises of not having dinner with our significant others or missing a ball game. And that leads to bigger and bigger things in the pursuit of perfection, prestige, notoriety, and success. And I do believe, and I walk the walk now, I do believe we can have it all in life. It just takes a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment, and we have to invest in ourselves first before we can invest in our families, our businesses, and our communities second. So this all fell into my lap just based off of personal collapse, for lack of a better word. But it turned out really good, T. Allen.
That's amazing how that happens. I've done a lot of interviews, and that seems like a similar story. But thanks for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it. So along the way, was there a book that's really stood out, that's really impacted you?
So since my journey, there's been a million books, but the book I refer out to my clients, my friends, my mastermind members, and it is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. In fact, I don't only run masterminds, I'm in a mastermind right now, and we are rereading it. And this will probably be the 7th time I've read it. And every time I read it, I get inspired. I find nuggets. It's one of those books that I find life-changing, and I've probably bought that book for over 100 people. And each person that I've sent it to has in some way had the profound effect on their life as well. It's simple, it's easy, it's beautifully written, and it's very easily implementable if you'll take the actions to do it. So I would say The Big Leap would be probably one of the most, there's been millions of books and millions of people who have appeared in my life, but I would say that's probably the most influential for me.
Excellent. That book title's come up a couple times, but Think and Grow Rich usually comes up probably 99% of the time, but that's good.
I study that book, by the way. That book's meant to be studied, not read.
Yeah.
That is a profound book. I just led a men's mastermind that I run through that book, and it has of the 6 members in that group, it has had, between the members of the group and the reading and actually working the book and doing the steps that it takes as a group, it has had profound effects on 3 or 4 of the members, both financially and in their networks and in their lives. So I think and Grow Rich, if you work it, because it's almost like a textbook if you really think about it. Yeah. If you work that book, it will have profound. I think that book should be required in schools, but I seem to be in the minority on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, very cool. So yeah, I hear your passion and what you're doing, but what is it that really drives you to get up out of bed every morning and help the people you're helping?
I think what drives me first is this stuff for me. When I first started it was literally life or death. And I've seen so many men and women come across my path in the name of pursuit of financial success, fame, business prestige. It doesn't take much for us as human beings, and I say us because I'm in that boat, for us to get off the tracks and things can go wrong really quickly. And we start making compromises because we care so much about what other people think, and we put all our stock in things and not really happiness in ourselves. And I think money and things and business are super important. It's the game that I love. It's the game but I don't want to do that and look back with regrets on my family, my life, and the choices that I made. So for me, first, what drives me is I'm not just a sage on the stage when I do public speaking. I'm not just a coach. I have to do these things. Everything that I teach and speak about, I do each and every day of my life. I spend an hour to 2 hours a day working on me, from meditation to prayer to emotional exercises to readings. I have a coach. I have a life coach. I'm in a mastermind. So this stuff is super important to me from an accountability standpoint, and so that I can love and serve myself, so that I can love and serve my family and my community and my businesses. So that's first and foremost why it's so important to me. But let me be what's second and very close to first is there's nothing in the world when you're working with an executive or a manager or an individual or even a billionaire, when you're sitting around having eggs and coffee in the morning and these alpha, wonderfully driven, beautiful people have this aha moment of thank you for helping me through this big choice or big change. Or I get off an airplane in Washington, D.C., and I have a client's wife hug my neck and say, he's the man I've always wanted him to be. So when you know you're touching lives, but not only your life, I mean, I'm also getting emotional as I think about this. I mean, that's why I get up and do it. It's not, you know, I wish there was a billion more of us out there who are putting this out there, because I'm tired of people losing their families, losing their souls, and losing their lives, and sometimes literally in the pursuit of fame and financial success. And so that's why I do it. And I hope the passion comes through, because this means everything to me.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. What are you finding to be the biggest misconception with people that are, you know, that are stuck in this?
That they're alone. I think we all have our challenges, our insecurities, our fears. Every one of us. I don't care if you're Tony Robbins, Beyonce, or just a kid coming out of college. We all have our stories. We've all had things we regret. We've all had things done to us. We're all scared in some way. We're all insecure in some way, and we all feel unworthy in some way. All of us. I don't care who you are. And so the misconception that you've got to overcome is that you're alone in these so-called weaknesses that by the way, all of us humans have. And so when you can get over that nonsense and know that you're not alone, and you can push through the fear, and here's the difference between the 1% and the 99%. It takes extreme courage and massive action, and it's muscles just like going to the gym. In order to be emotionally, mentally, physically, business, you've got to work at it. There's no magic pill, and there's nobody coming to save you. But if you can get past all of I'm alone and I can't be transparent, you know, you can take down all the masks that I'm important, that I can't ask for help, you know, all these masks we wear as human beings. Put those down and really open up to yourself to either a coach or a movement or a service type based organization to really put yourself out there to make massive and courageous changes in your life. It will have profound effects. But it's so easy to do what we've always done. It's so easy to watch that 8 hour of Netflix or have that fifth beer or, you know, veg out on social media, as opposed to taking action and really doubling down and investing in yourself. And so I think the biggest misconception is all those fears, insecurities, things that we have, because on some level, all of us in business have this question: what happens when they figure out that I don't know what I'm doing? All of us. All of us have had that at one point in our life. I mean, there's, you know, we can lie about it, but we all put it out there. We all have that moment of, oh my God, what if they really figure out I don't know what I'm doing? But we all have that. And so let's get through all the nonsense. Let's get through all the masks and know you're not alone. Know everybody's afraid, and take the massive action to do something for yourself so that you can become the human you were always meant to be.
The imposter syndrome.
Oh gosh, we all have it. We all have it. Recently I was asked to speak on, you know, some pretty big stages, and I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this stuff, you know, the self work for 7 years. Again, I do it for myself every day, and I still have these moments of like, why in the world am I here? And then I'm like, because you were meant to be here, you know, and you know, those little noises or demons or squirrels, I call it the Tommy go round. Those noises in our head, they kick in and say, you're not good enough. And I'm like, nope, I am good enough. Thank you. I'm going to move forward anyway. We all have it, though, in some way.
Yeah, I guess I'm pretty blessed. I mean, I had a challenge in high school where I had my coaches around me would say, you're going to play for the University of Notre Dame. You're playing football for Notre Dame. And I'm like, no, I'm not good enough. You know, I can't possibly be good enough to play at the University of Notre Dame. And I literally talked myself out of it.
No kidding. I was going to ask you, did you play there?
No, I settled for a junior college in California. I was from Indiana. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. So, that was like, the premier deal. And I talk about this. I got a letter from Dan Devine, recruiting me. And anyway, it's a whole nother story. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Those voices come in, and I only had my football coach around me trying to encourage me that, hey, you're going to Notre Dame. But I immediately, this little guy on your shoulder is like, you're not good enough. You don't have the you don't have the grades. I was 6'5", 245 pounds as a senior in high school. So, I could have done it if I had my head right. But that's a big.
Man, and I know that little guy on your shoulder. I know that little guy on the shoulder talking to you. But let's give a moment of gratitude. I mean, how about those coaches to really uplift, motivate, and inspire you? I mean, we need 9,000 more men and women of teachers and coaches, and they're out there. It's just we gotta get through our insecurities and fears. The message is there when we're ready to hear it. And unfortunately, T. Allen, at that time, you weren't ready to hear it. But look at all the wonderful things you've done since. So maybe not then, but look now. So it'll happen when we're ready for it. So. But kudos to them, and a little bit of gratitude for them, right?
Oh, absolutely. They were the biggest influences in my life at the time. So absolutely. So let's move on to what are some of the things that people need to overcome, or besides fear, what are some other things that they probably and you can talk about
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, T. Allen. I didn't mean to interrupt. Pardon me.
That's all right. You could talk about an actual case study without any names, of course, or someone that you've helped would be a good way to explain that.
I think all of us have and I'm working with quite a few men and women now on multiple things, but it's usually some sort of massive choice or massive change. And, a lot of people come to me with business or, financial challenges, but at the end of the day, when we look in the mirror, it's really individual challenges that are holding us back. And there's a lot of anchors that appear in our lives. But I think one of the things that we as a society have not done a nice job of is how do we become self-aware? How do we look in the mirror and see that depending on what we're dealing with in our lives, it could be something massive in our business, it could be leadership issues, it could be profitability issues, it could be family issues, or personality and other things. It's just we're all going to face challenges and triumphs. And I think for us, it's helping people really to become self-aware. So, here's the thing, once you become aware, you cannot not become aware. So once you start really get in tune with, how you react, your emotional status, your mental status, how you lead, once you realize, once you can do the work to really look in the mirror and say, okay, that's who I am. This is why I'm reacting that way. And here's my tools and tactics to move forward in that. But I think it's really hard for us because we have created this society of competition and comparison. And comparison is just another way of saying envy and jealousy, that we are so scared to really, really put it out there, whether it's with a coach like myself or with a mentor or with a family member or significant other like your wife, your husband, whatever, to really say, I'm struggling with this. Once you become aware, okay, now awareness is the first thing. And that's a hard thing to do because it takes a lot of work to I'm scared, I'm angry, these things are not working out for me. And here's why. Okay, now I know. Now I can't unknow. But the next step is to stop worrying about what everybody else thinks because they're all going through the same nonsense that you are or a version of it. And how do we ask for help? How do we be transparent and honest without emotionally vomiting on people? That's not what I'm suggesting, is not go out there and tell your problems to everybody. That's nonsense. But in a safe, productive way, how do we ask for help and move forward with whatever challenge, choice, or change we need to make in our life? And I honestly think the greats, And from Richard Branson to Gandhi to MLK to any great president you like, to even the great spiritual leaders, I think they all had a tribe. I think of people that they surrounded themselves with, that uplifted them, that mentored them, that held them accountable.
Mm.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, you're good. Don't worry about that. Yeah.
And so I think it takes a tribe. I think it's community, but I also think it takes great courage to ask for help.
Absolutely. And, you know, I was able to break that cycle when I was growing up, because I became aware at an early age, and not everybody becomes that. And I think that's why I've been able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished, because I knew I had to get out of that environment. And a lot of people don't have that choice to get out of a negative environment. And but I used, I could have went to Notre Dame, or I could have went to a small college in Illinois, but I was still close to Indiana. I had to go to California to get out of that, right? I had to accept a scholarship to a small college in California versus a major college in Indiana, because I wanted to get the heck out of there. And I think that was the biggest turning point for me, because once I got out there, I failed miserably. I was totally unprepared and had to come back. So, but I had to go through all that to get to where I'm at today. But yeah,
I think that's a great point, though. Let's not leave that, T. Allen. I think that's a great point. Is your failures are just, and I know it's cliche for guys like you and I, but it's so true. Like, people are so scared of failing, but all the great leaders throughout history have had massive shortcomings and failures, and use those as catalysts to become great inspirers. And so, fear the failure, fail, and just keep moving forward, because it's only going to serve you. And the kudos to you for A, getting yourself out of a situation, B, failing, and C, using failing as a catalyst. So kudos to you, T. Allen. Seriously.
Well, thank you. But I'll be the first one to tell you, the only difference between me and you is I've failed more often than you. That's the only difference.
I love it.
And I'll tell them up front, and that's the truth. So, and you got to keep swinging the bat, stepping up there and swinging the bat for sure. So what do you think should be the first thing that people should consider if they want to make a change like this? And you rattled off all the things that you're doing, and people are hung up on, need a coach. Why do I need a coach? Only professional athletes get coaches. Yeah.
Well, I think I think that's a misconception, because even Tony Robbins has a coach. Even every great college coach has a mentor. And candidly, most of them have psychologists too these days. If you look at all the great business leaders, they usually have an executive coach, a personal coach, and probably even a psychologist, because they know in order to serve themselves, in order to serve their family, their businesses, and all the stresses and demands they have on their life, they've got to be so in tune and do the hard work and have accountability partners to help them along the way. So here's what I would say, and this is going to sound very blunt, very mean. If you're happy at status quo and you say, why do I need a coach? Then just keep being status quo, because if it's working for you, let it work for you. But if there's something, and it doesn't have to be Tommy Breedlove. It doesn't have to, there's a bunch of different flavors for everyone out there. And look at their background and look at what inspires you. And that's the people. And it could be multiple people. And hopefully, if it's a great coach hopes that you outgrow them. But for people to say, I don't need a teacher, a mentor, or coach, that's a little bit naive and somewhat, there's some arrogance and maybe even a lot of insecurities there. And so I continue to hire coaches. I have accountability partners, I have mentors, and I have a tight-knit network that holds me accountable. So I would say the first step that I would take is do something that you actually enjoy that betters yourself. I mean, you have to in some way participate in your own rescue, because again, there's no magic pill for betterment. There's no magic pill to happiness, and happiness and fulfillment in life are journeys. They're not destinations. But again, you've got to take some sort of action. And action could be write a book. It could be read a book. It could be have a conversation with somebody you trust. It could be hire a coach. It could be listen to a motivational speaker. It could be doing something out of your comfort zone, but do something that betters your life. Stop doing the things you've always done and stop numbing yourself on social media, news, TV, and all the other distractions and noise we have in life. And so you've got to take action. And because, again, doing what you've always done, you're going to get the results you've always gotten. And so for someone like me who's in the self-development business, who's in the public speaking business, who this is an absolute passion, I can speak from absolute experiences. Before I went through this process, from my network to my friends to my marriage to my financial status, and I was a financial guy making a lot of money in a firm, the things that have come into my life by doing the hard work and being honest with myself, but by constantly working to sharpen the pencil to be the best human I can be, the payoffs are tenfold in love, compassion, self-respect, gratitude, being able to live in the present moment, not constantly living in the past or planning for the future. These are all the gifts of doing the work. But the first thing I would say is take some sort of action and do something small. Do something that you really enjoy. Maybe it's going to take a walk and having a good conversation with yourself. Maybe it's taking a few days off and going to have a hike. Maybe it's, having a really nice dinner with your wife and saying, honey, I think I need to maybe make a change. And what do you think? I promise you they're going to love and support you no matter what you do. But I guess that's a really long-winded way of saying take action.
Speaking of that, the listeners are probably wondering how they can find out more about you and how you could possibly help them. What would be the best way to do that? I
love talking to anyone. And so I always make 10 to 15. As you can tell, I'm really shy. But I really love listening to people's hopes. I love listening to what they're doing, what they're working on. I love listening to people's challenges. So if they'll reach out to me directly, and I'll give you my direct email address, it's Tommy@TommyBreedlove.com. But please give me 48 hours to get back to you, because when I'm with a client or I'm doing a speech or I'm on a corporate board, I go all in on that. But we will get back to you, and we will schedule a 10 to 15-minute call with you. I'd love to hear from you. You can email me the questions that you have, but please reach out to me or someone else. I'd love to hear from you. That's my direct. Again, it's Tommy@TommyBreedlove.com. We will get back to you, and I'd love to hear your story. We've got an awesome book coming out here in 2019. It's getting a lot of good stuff from publishers and press, so we're really excited about it. It's called From Pawn to King. So be on the lookout for that, probably first or second quarter 2019. And I honestly, T. Allen, reach out to T. Allen, reach out to me, but reach out to somebody and seriously invest in yourself. We always put that last. We'll invest in the stock market. We'll invest in our families. We'll invest in, our businesses, our careers. We'll even invest in people we don't know. But why do we not invest in ourselves? Because we got to keep this machine rolling before we keep the other machines rolling. So please reach out to someone. But this has been an absolute honor, T. Allen, and thanks for letting me talk.
Oh, absolutely. And great information. And I like how you use that word investment. That's very important. You're investing in yourself. That's not a throwaway or anything, but very important.
No, absolutely not. And it's the thing we put last, right? Is ourselves.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, thank you again for being on the show. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, T. Allen. Have a great day.
There you have it for this edition of the show. We'll see you the next time.
Thanks for listening to the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show with T. Allen Haynes. Conversations with elite business leaders from around the world. We will see you next time on the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show.